Hey, welcome back. It's John with episode 23 of the Corona Files. And in this episode, I'm going to be walking through one of our demo websites, high-ticket dropshipping websites that we're going to be taking out to suppliers to get their approval. And it is basically the website that after that, once we've uploaded our products, we're going to be taking out live to customers and starting to sell our products on. So if you've been following along with previous episodes, you'll know that part of the process we go through is to build our website before we call suppliers to get approved, local suppliers to get approved for products to put on our high-ticket dropshipping store. And that's pretty much the stage we're at now. We're going to start making our calls in the next couple of days. And so we've got this demo website completed. And in this episode, I'm going to walk you through what that looks like. So I'm actually going to show you the site and why I set it up the way I set it up at this point in time and what else might go on there as time goes on. So if you are listening to this on audio, I think you're going to want to, I am going to be actually walking through things on the screen, and you can get access to the video recordings of this. All you have to do that is go to buildsellgrowrepeat.com/corona-files. You can find the link to that in the show notes. And of course, you can get in there and check it out. So without further ado, I'm going to jump over into that right now, and we're going to check it out. Okay, so if we go here, share the screen. All right, so the site I'm going to show you is for our website. As I told you what niche we're doing in a previous episode. We're getting into a bit of a cross niche with caravan or RV, boating and camping accessories, parts and supplies. So, and that site is called Blue Roo. There's a reason for that. It's Australian-based business. And if you're watching on the screen right now, you can, of course, see it in the desktop view. And so this is the demo site. Now, I call it a demo site. I don't actually really like that name, but it's one that some people tend to understand. This is the website. I call it a demo website or the first version. This is the website that is going to go out to customers when the business is open, the checkout's live and all of that sort of thing. It's going to look, this is about 80% done, right? So we do most of the work now, but when we don't need to do all the work before we call suppliers. We just need to do enough to get it up and running for it to look like a real website. But all of the functionality is not hooked up yet. And all of the on-site work isn't quite done yet. And the simple reason for that is that we don't have to have it all done yet. And so that's, I'll walk you through some of the things that aren't done while we're going through this. You know, what we need at this point is just enough done that it looks like a real site, that suppliers, when we call them, can look at it and have confidence that we're going to do a good job of marketing their products. We know what we're doing. We know how to build a website. And we're really trying to build trust and credibility, because when we make those supply calls, we're essentially asking for somebody's permission to put their brand and their products on our website and to essentially, in a way, represent them out in the market. And of course, when we're talking about high ticket dropshipping as opposed to like low ticket products from China or something like that, these brands actually have a lot of time and money invested in their brand. You know, we're talking about companies that might be worth tens of millions, even hundreds of millions of dollars, right? And they don't just want to give access to their brand to any bozo who woke up this morning, is wearing his pajamas and, you know, has just had a bright idea that they might maybe like to run a website, but they don't really know what they're doing. So some suppliers want to build that level of trust and feel confident that you can actually make their brand look good online. And so when you build the site out at this point, before we call suppliers, the purpose of doing this, even though it feels a bit counterintuitive, to build a site before you know what exactly you're going to be selling, or which suppliers, or whether you can even get any suppliers to sell, might seem a bit counterintuitive if you're coming at this for the first time. But that's the reason for it, is because it gives us credibility and trust with the suppliers at a point where we don't really have any history in their market. And so that's why we do it. But we don't need to go too far in doing that. Like, we don't need the site to function like it would for customers at this point. So from a time-saving perspective, so we can move ahead quicker, we don't need to hook all the things up, like all the checkout, all the online chat, all that sort of stuff yet, because the suppliers don't need to use that. They just want to have a quick look at it. Some of them won't even look at it, to be honest, but a lot will, and they're just going to have a very brief look at it. They're going to have a look at it, form an initial impression, and so this is what they're going to see. So I've talked about various elements of this site, and I'll show you the other site that we're working on as well in a later episode. We'll just touch over that briefly. It's going to be fairly similar though, so I'm not going to go through both of them right now. I've talked about various elements of this, of branding and how we build the site. And so now you can actually see what I was talking about in previous episodes. So this site, bearing in mind this site is going to have a large number of products on it across a fairly broad cross-section of product types and categories. So that sort of had some influence in the design to this point, the way we've got the theme, this particular theme, and what we're doing with that in Shopify. And of course, if you're joining me for the first time, this is a Shopify site. That's what I work with. And so, how I've sort of set up the start of the site here is very much with that in mind. So when you've got a large range of products and you've got customers who might be looking for multiple products at the same time and that sort of thing, what you really want to focus on is having a very big, easy to use and easy to find search bar, right? And so in my header, the primary thing I actually want people to get is the search bar rather than necessarily the menu navigation. So that's why we've got this nice big bold search bar here. I'm on a very big screen, so it does look long in this. If you look at it on a smaller screen like a laptop or that sort of thing, this search bar does not look so big, and I may alter that a little bit as we go on, get my developer to work through that, but at this point it's fine the way it is. Now, the important thing to always realize as well when you're building sites is that these days, 2020 and beyond, 70 to 80% of your traffic is going to be on mobile, and that's where most people are going to discover you, is on mobile first, and they may come back to desktop later. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. That's a good thing, really. I like that. But what it means is that when you're building your site and when you're designing it and putting it together, you tend to always do that on the desktop view, right? And we're looking at it on the desktop view here because, of course, I'm doing this live via a desktop. But we do want to, you always got to think of the mobile, because the reality is that's where most traffic is. So what your desktop version of your site looks like is a lot less important than it used to be, because that's not where people are generally making their first impression, which is often the most important impression of your business. That's happening on mobile. So you really have to put a lot of thought and focus onto the mobile version of your site and make sure that that looks good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip between a couple of tabs, and I'm going to go into the Shopify Editor here, where it's the easiest way for me to demonstrate the mobile view of the site. And of course, you can see it here on the mobile view as well. Even on mobile, we've still got a really nice big search bar here and a call to action for people to call us on the phone. This is the first thing that people see. Now, I like customers calling my dropshipping businesses for high ticket products, right? The conversion rate when people call in or following a sales call is super high in my experience. And so a lot of people who build these businesses are like, yeah, I want to go and sit on a beach and do nothing. That doesn't really match up to reality. I'm not going to take a lot of calls myself. I'm going to have customer service virtual assistants who are going to do that. But I do want people calling in because that's one of the ways that I can serve them best. So I always make the call to actions on my site very bold, so I can make sure that I'm getting people to call me, particularly in the opening stages of a business. It's actually good to have that, right? Because that's the time when it's the hardest to make sales when you're a brand new business, right? People don't know who you are. You don't have a lot of social proof, a lot of that sort of stuff. So when people call you, they can actually get that physical connection behind the business and see there's a real person sitting on the other end of the website. And it actually makes it easier to make more sales initially if you can do some really good customer service. It helps you to get more reviews, build that social proof really quickly if you're giving people a great experience. But the other reason I like to make it quite obvious that we have good customer service at this point is because a lot of suppliers will be thinking that as well. one of the things they're going to be concerned about is not only are you going to be able to sell their products and market them well, and put them out there in a respectful way, but also what support are you going to provide to your customers? Your suppliers don't want to be copying customers, calling them up for post-sales support because you're not doing the job right. It's your job to do the customer service, and suppliers, at least some of them, want to be reassured that you're actually got something in place to manage customer service, to support people after they buy the products. So it's important to give them that impression as well. So when you're looking at the site, you can see what's going on there. Now, I talked a little bit about branding in a previous episode, and of course now you can see how we've done the logo. I mean, I didn't do it; a designer did it. I don't do this stuff. How we've done the logo for this business. So I've actually gone with a text-based logo, which is just, if you're doing a text-based logo, keep it simple. It doesn't need to be fancy text. It doesn't need to be anything like that. It's a very unique name. It's not going to be confused with anyone else. And I've just got a very simple text-based logo in color with two font weights. But with this business, I'm going with a little mascot as well. So the kangaroo, uniquely Australian animal, of course. And this is a mascot type logo that I've had designed for this business. And the reasons for doing that, you don't have to do that, right? I didn't have to do that. And I haven't done that for the other business that I'm going to be just demonstrating through this series as such. But I've gone with this one because a couple of reasons. One, I want it to be very unique within its market. And of course, that's going to give it an extra unique angle. It's very recognizable when you have like an image-based element to your logo. Not every business does, honestly, but and like I say, you don't necessarily need it, but I've got it. But also down the track, I have plans to sell products under my own brand, right? And so having the mascot-based logo gives you a lot of options around packaging, branding your products just with that recognizable image than using the text, just the text alone. It's more interesting. It can go on things like clothing and apparel a lot easier. And so it just gives you more options for down the track. Those are not things I'm doing in the beginning right now, but they are going to be things that I do much further down the track. And who knows, if I'm still doing these videos as we build the business, you'll see that sort of stuff go on then. So just quickly whipping through the homepage here. And of course, when we call suppliers, this is going to be the first page they see, right? We're going to give them the URL, which you can go to as well, blueroo.com.au. And, they're going to be able to look through some of the pages. So, we've got two navigations here. These pages are all live. They have text copy on them. But once again, it's really sort of the minimum text and copy. So it's not optimized for customers as such. I've just come up with them quickly, but it is the basics, the basis of what our customer-facing stuff will be, right? So it's going to get tweaked probably, yes, as we open and as we start getting the first customers, first sales through. We'll optimize that text and those pages to better suit the products that we actually end up selling and all of that sort of thing. But the basics are there. We've got a navigation on the site, of course, so it looks like a proper site. And you'll see as you go through it, like it looks like there's a lot of different categories. And these are the different types of products that we're aiming to sell on the site. But if you're sitting there going, oh, man, John, there's so many collections that you've got in your navigation there. Have you created all of those at this point? The answer is no, I haven't. I haven't created hardly any of them, right? And I'm not going to do that until we've got the live products ready to upload and we need to actually slot those into collections. That would be unnecessary work to create all of these collections. What I want to do is give suppliers an idea of what I'm going to sell on the site, but I don't want to go through and do all the work just yet because you never know. It may be that I don't get approved with some suppliers and I don't need some of these collections initially right off the bat, but I want it to look okay. So this is just to give an idea at this point. Some of them do have products in, And as we go through the site, the things that suppliers are most likely to click on to check it out is, of course, some of the products that they see on the homepage, and those are actually there. I'll jump onto one of those in a moment. So just from the basic website design, I go, and some of this stuff is, all of this stuff, I should say, really is going to stay even when customers are coming onto the site. So, we have a nice big hero image, and I'll dig into some of this stuff. Some of this stuff has a marketing purpose as well, for customers, not for suppliers, and I'll dig into that further in future episodes, some of the things. But we have a nice big hero image. We don't do sliders. It's 2020. Sliders should have been chucked in the bin a long time ago. So don't put sliders on. It slows your site down horrendously. And there's been tons of research done that demonstrate that only about 5% of people actually look at the second slide or more in a slider. 96% or 95% don't even see past the first slider anyway if they land on your homepage. So don't go with a slider. At this point, my hero image is not going to be offering a special deal or anything like that because I don't have any. What I'm focusing on here is a connection with the customer, and that's the purpose. The purpose of your homepage, right, is people land on your homepage, they need to make a connection with it. It's not to offer some crappy promo deal like, oh, get 10% off today or something. That's not what the majority of the market needs the first time they experience your business. The first time they experience your business, you want to give them something that helps them say, and this is for a high-ticket dropshipping business, right? Particularly where you're selling other people's products. You're not selling your own products in the beginning. They need to land on your homepage and feel, yes, I'm in the right place. This is why I'm here, right? This is interesting. This is different or whatever, right? That's what they need to get. That's the first impression they need to get because that will help them to stick on the page and then go and look at something else and actually start digging into your products and doing that sort of thing. So this tells people they're in the right place. And then straight up following that, I get into my USP. So what you'll see as we go through this site is that no matter where you look, there's almost always going to be something that relates to the reasons that we say people should buy from us, right? And for a high-ticket dropshipping store, once again, we're not selling our own products, so we can't rely on our own product to give us our unique angle. You need to focus on your overall marketing offer. And I'm going to do an episode on exactly what that is and what that entails, but part of that is your USP. So customers have two decisions to make when they're considering products on your site. The first one is ultimately, do you have the right product to solve their problem? But the second and equally important thing, and this is the thing that a lot of high-ticket dropshippers overlook, is are you the right person to buy the product that they want from? Because they have choice. They always have choice. You're not the only person selling the product that you're selling, right? So people are not only thinking, is this the right product for me? They're also thinking, is this the best website to buy this product from? And you need to slap them in the face with the reasons why your site is the right site to buy from. You can't just leave it up to people to magically make their mind up and decide that out of the 5 other sites that sell that same product, you're the best. You have to get out there and shout it at them. And so, my top navigation up here, features, these are all about why people should buy from me. This is about why people should buy from me. It's down the bottom of the site again. It's on our product page in multiple locations. It's kind of everywhere. I'm making this case. It's on our About Us page. It's going to be on our collection pages. Everywhere people go, they're going to get this message that we're doing some cool things that we think should influence you to buy from us. And those things I'm going to be looking at, what are my competitors doing? And can I present those things a bit differently to how they're presenting their USP so that it feels unique and the customer has the perception that it's a unique proposition. So the first thing, this for me on any high-ticket dropshipping business, an introduction to our USP needs to be above the fold when people land on the homepage. It needs to be above the fold on any page, really. So we've got that there. Then I'll just get into some of the collections where we've actually got products on the site. Then I get into a bit about us. And yes, that is a picture of me. A lot of people do high-ticket dropshipping sites and want to keep themselves completely anonymous. I don't do that. I always plaster myself all over my high-ticket dropshipping sites. Even the first one I ever did, I did this. I think it gives a personal connection for the business to the customer. They can see who the person is behind it all. They can start to form a relationship with them. And I don't think you should be worried about being the face of your business. So I do that. This is an About Us thing. People can go through and read the About Us page. Of course, we're just chucking some products in here. So these are actual demonstration products that I've got on the site. These are not products we're going to sell at this point, right? I'm going to delete these actually before the site goes live to customers. But this gives a way for suppliers to click through and see what our product pages are going to look like, right? So we've got some products there. I'll go through to one of those in a minute. We've got our USB again, and of course, then we've got a fairly standard footer, which just has navigation through various parts of our site. Things like the checkout badges, etc., aren't there yet because the checkout's not live and Shopify doesn't place those things in there until you've got a live checkout. Same with our social channels. I haven't set up the social media pages yet, like Facebook page, Pinterest, all that sort of stuff, because we don't need them at this point. We don't need those things before we call suppliers. So they'll get added in there, some details about that before the site goes live to customers. So that's really the homepage. I mean, homepages should always be really simple. People tend to overthink homepages and think, I need to put all this stuff in, and they need to be, scroll after scroll after scroll long. But the reality is that's not the case. You'll note we have a sticky header on this site, which retains the big search bar, right? So that stays there, and the navigation drops away to a minimized hamburger navigation. Now, before the site goes live to customers, or soon after it goes live to customers, there are other things that are going to go on the homepage that aren't there right now. And those things are, I will have a reviews widget in here. So the process I follow from my homepage, and I always follow the same format. I have a head, I have a hero image, USP, introduction to some of our favorite categories. And once again, these will get rejigged. There'll be different collections here. There'll probably be a couple more actually. And they'll be the products that we want to sell the most initially, that we want to bring people's attention to. Then I always have, after that, I'll have the a reviews widget, right? I always want to put my reviews as high on the page as I can to build that social trust. But that's not there right now because we don't have any reviews. And I'm not going to fake a whole bunch of reviews either. The other thing that will appear on this page is links to some of our best content. So once the site gets up and running, I have a heavy focus on content. I do a lot of content marketing, and so we're going to start linking up some of our content onto the homepage. Obviously, that's missing at this point because we don't need to build any content right now, and we haven't as yet. So that will appear here as well, but that's really the only things that are going to change. We'll change some of these products as well and that sort of thing, but that's it. So that's the homepage at this point. As we go through now, here's a collection page. I'll just jump onto a collection page really quick. So once again, the collection page, I haven't done really any additional work on this. This is pretty much at this point the stock collection page because before we make supply calls, we don't need any additional detail here. We don't really need anything at all. Not much is going to change on the product grid here with the addition that products will have a reviews section will come in here as they get reviews, but not much else is going to be added here. We will add some other filter options into the collection pages, which are not here right now because once again, we don't have our full set of collections and products loaded into the store. So it's kind of a bit superfluous to bother spending time building out a filtering system at this point, but that will get added in. And of course, on my collection pages, I always have content because from an SEO perspective, which I'm very big on, having collection pages with no content essentially means your collection pages are thin content pages, which can hurt your rankings. And collection pages are pages that you can actually rank for some decent search terms. So there is a method for building out content on those, which when we get to that point, we'll walk through on one of these episodes. I'll show you how I do that, what you should put in your collection pages, how you should just pick which keywords you want to rank your collection pages for, all that sort of business. But once again, before calling suppliers, we don't need to have that on here. That's just unnecessary work at this stage, so it hasn't been done. So this is it. Now jumping through to and once again, maybe I should just do this on our on our little homepage. Look, I'll even I'll show you what it looks like on the mobile as well. The same collection. So once again, I mean, it's pretty simple on mobile. See your products. That's what the collection page looks like there. Getting into an actual product itself. Right, so here's the product page. Now, this one's a little bit different for me. I'm going with an initial 3-column layout on desktop. Once again, as far as this is going to go live to customers, this is about 80% done. It's not completely optimized. I'm going to say these are demo products. So I've basically just cut and pasted the product data, the images, etc., from an e-commerce site in another country to Australia. This is a brand of products that isn't on sale in Australia, so I'm not going to be calling the people who make this particular product. So this is actually a real product that exists somewhere in the world, but I ain't going to sell it in Australia. I've just got this on here solely so that if a supplier wants to look at our product page, they can go to a product page, they can see what it's going to look like, and they're not going to be worried. They're not going to get antsy because it's their product and they think we're trying to sell it before we've got approval to. Right? So this Blue is a website for Australia, the Australian market only. I've pulled this product from a site that sells on the US market only. And this brand is not one that I'm going to be selling in Australia, but it is on sale in the US market, but that doesn't matter. So you can get a feel for how we're doing the product page. So on desktop, I like to get all the good stuff above the fold if I can. So having this 3-column layout means that not only can I have all of my call to actions above the fold, along with my main parts of my USP, nice and bold, I can also deliver the primary sales message for the product, right? So this isn't a primary sales message because this is just a cut and paste job. It's not optimized. I don't need to actually do that, right? Because I'm not selling it. But this bit of the description would be like a properly written sales copy to sell the product. And then if the customer wants to know, product specifications, the full list of features, get access to any, installation guidelines, manuals, all that sort of thing, I'm going to have that down below this main product area in our tabbed section here, which, this is once again very basic. This will be much longer for actual real products, and it will actually be in a column format as well, which it's not right here. So here I've just got features, specifications, reviews, shipping and free returns tabs. Now I may add other tabs in, down the track before we go live to customers, but right now I don't need it for calling suppliers. But this gives you a pretty good feel for what our product pages are going to look like. So you'll note the primary colors on our call to actions are ones that are not used anywhere else on the site except for some of the links on the site. So that's a unique color. It stands out a lot. And once again, we've got a very heavy focus on our USP here. It's big, it's bold. People can't miss it on this view initially. Now, what goes on below this? I mean, reviews, etc. I haven't really optimized any of this. This is all just fairly standard, and some of this will get changed. We'll have upsells, upsell opportunities on a lot of products. We haven't put any of that on yet, like upsell widgets and all of that sort of business, because right now we really don't need it, right? We're not selling to anybody, and that would be unnecessary work. We're going to build those things out as we upload our products, our live products onto the site. But this will give a supplier a good indication of what our product page is going to look like. And the overall format from here is not really going to change. This is what it's going to look like. I'll keep this format. All we're really going to do is add a few bits and pieces to it before we go live. And we'll come back to these pages, obviously, when the site goes live to customers, so you can see some of the additional things that we add in. But this is all you need to call suppliers, really. So, if we go onto, the mobile view for this, instead of being a 3-column, obviously on mobile, it's still just a single column. It reverts back to this. Once again, nice big call to actions on the mobile, USP, and then it's just an accordion. Tabs go into accordions, and we have that initial piece of sales messaging by itself above that. So look, there's probably a few little design tweaks. There's a few things that are still a bit rough here, in my opinion, that could be sort of rejigged, reformatted a tiny bit. And we'll get our developer to work on those. I tend to think up things every time I look at a site, and I'll send my developer a little message and say, hey, can you tweak this thing? But the reality is that we don't need to overthink that stuff now before we call suppliers. So that's what the mobile looks like. To go through just some of the other pages on the site, I've done nothing to the cart page. The checkout's not hooked up at this point, so we don't worry about any of those pages, right? Like, I'll have post-purchase upsells and all that sort of business hooked up to the site when it goes live to customers, but I don't need it now, so it's not there. There's nothing to show there. If I go to just like our story site, it's a basic, about us sort of thing. It's all true, and this is all going to be retained when we go live to customers, but I will add some video content in here and some imagery. The video will basically be me on camera talking basically through the same stuff that's here, what our business is about, all this sort of thing. And that'll go, the developer will format this up a bit nicer, and it'll go onto there. But for the time being, to call suppliers, this is good enough. Nice and simple. Took me about 5 minutes to write, if that. And you can see as you go through these other pages, it's the same. They're just simple content at this point. We'll add more to them as we go on before we go live to suppliers. So that's basically a run through of our site, what our site looks like before we call suppliers. So you're more than welcome to come onto this site. You can see the blueroo.com.au. You can see that up there. It's a live site at this point. So if you wanna check it out and poke holes in everything I do, feel free to. But of course, as always, if you do have any questions about this sort of stuff and you've been looking at doing it, by all means, just put a comment on the recording, send us a message, whatever. Always happy to answer those things. And of course, if you want to get access to the video recording and all the previous episodes and bits and pieces that have gone along with it, you can go to buildsellgrowrepeat.com/corona-files. You can see it scrolling along the bottom of the screen now. And it's free. You just sign up there and you'll get access to everything, and you can walk through the whole process to date, and all future episodes will get uploaded there as well. I should also note that if you like the site that you just walked through and you're like, man, I wish my site looked like that, I'd love to have a site that's built like that, or I think these guys do a good job, and I need somebody to update my website. If you go to the comments or the show notes, depending on which platform you're watching or listening to this on, you can find a link to where you can book a call with my team, myself or my team members, to talk about getting a site designed for you along the same lines. Whether it's for a high-ticket dropshipping site or any other type of e-commerce business, that is something that we do by request. So feel free to reach out there if you need some help with your own website. So thanks for your time today. Thanks for checking it out. Of course, we've got plenty more to go in the Corona files, although funnily enough, I think we're going to have to update the name at some point, because in Australia, at least, the restrictions are getting pulled off, due to the coronavirus. And, I'm going to be heading out of the shed at some point and getting back into normal life. And, maybe I'll have to change the show name to something different to keep up with that. But wherever you are right now, I hope you're well. I hope your business is thriving and that you're safe and healthy. And I'll catch you up very soon. Take care.